Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales of Middle-earth, the series in which we explore stories and locations unrelated to our journey in Citadel Guard Adventures. This is Beriathan of the Citadel Guard of Gondor, and today we will be doing Baggins' birthday to commemorate Frodo and Bilbo. So let us accept the quest before the timer runs off. With Frodo and Bilbo Baggins' birthdays close at hand, Frodo is looking for an adventurer to assist him with a surprise for his uncle Bilbo. Travel to Rivendell to assist Frodo with his plans. Yes, Garlic, I'm very excited about this too. So as you can see, we are already in Rivendell, ready to begin the quest. And this event runs during Frodo and Bilbo's birthday for about a week, from the 21st, 22nd to the 28th, 29th, something like that. I don't remember for how long. I have done this with a few characters, but not with all of them. It's a really nice story from what I remember, but far as I remember, the only thing you get for doing repeat of this quest is a house uniting, basically. So I usually don't do this unless I have a very good reason to, and today we have one. So I think we haven't had a chance of celebrating Frodo and Bilbo's birthday before, but I didn't want to let the occasion pass this time. And lots of YouTubers celebrate this, the Hobbit Day, as it's been called, and it's well deserving of a celebration, in my opinion. So that's what we will be doing today. And well, without further ado, let us talk to Frodo at his room.
Just a moment.
Hello. Oh, you're here to assist with my birthday surprise for Uncle Bilbo?
Might I speak with you a moment?
Okay, completed Baggins' birthday. Okay, this is the quest. I will complete it. Not the deed, not yet. Beriathan, I'm glad you're here. I am in need of an adventurer such as yourself to help with a birthday surprise for my Uncle Bilbo. When Bilbo decided to resettle in Rivendell, he did it in typical fashion, as you may have heard, with a bang and a flash, disappearing right during his own birthday party. In that moment, Bilbo instantly became the subject of many a tall tale, an increasingly exaggerated legend. I know he'd be amused to no end to hear the stories, but I myself can go collect them. The next time you're in the Shire, could you do this for me? Were I you, I'd start at the Gaffer. He hears most everything worth hearing, and he will surely know who you should talk to in order to obtain the very best tales. Alright, so we need to go to Hobbiton now. Okay, I think the quickest way is actually going to the housing area, and from there the stable master can get you a ride to the party tree. If you try to go to Bree, for example, Guardian's Gate, or the starter areas, you will need to get a ride to Mikkel Delving and then a ride to Hobbiton. This one to be quicker.
Hello there.
Hello. So the party tree, yeah. Much more quicker. Absolutely worth doing. Okay, here we have the Gaffer. Not that far, really.
Just a moment.
Why, hello. Frodo sent you to talk to me then. What's that young fry up to now?
Oi there, give me a moment.
So, you're here to collect stories about Bilbo Baggins, are you? Heard that I would know who to talk to. Naturally, you're correct. Give me a moment and I'll write you down a list of likely hobbits to speak to. Mind you, you'll need to catch them at just the right time. If they don't seem to have a story for you, check back on them in a while. If you want to hear every story, you'll need to have some perseverance.
What do you need?
Right then, here's that list. You'll want to give it a quick look to make sure you can read my handwriting. The Gaffer has given you a note. Mind you, remember what I told you, not everyone's going to have time to talk to you at once. If a hobbit doesn't have a story for you when you want to talk, check back with them later. A list of likely hobbits. Ted Sandyman. Ted is located on the south side of the Bywater Bridge, which can be found following the road south out of Hobbiton-Bywater. Sheriff Robin Smallborough. Robin is within the Ivy Bush. The Ivy Bush Inn, which is located in the town of Hobbiton-Bywater. Dada Chops. Dada is standing near the task bulletin board north of the center of Hobbiton-Bywater. Lobelia Sackville-Baggins. Lobelia can be found outside of Bag End on the hill north of Hobbiton-Bywater and the Party Tree. The Storyteller. She is located inside of the Ivy Bush Inn, located in the town of Hobbiton-Bywater. Hal Hornblower. Hal stands near the Hobbiton-Bywater stables in the southwest corner of the town square. Bogo Chop. Bogo is Hobbiton-Bywater stable master and can be found at the stables next to Hal. Lotho Sackville-Baggins. Lotho is standing outside of Bag End on the hill north of Hobbiton-Bywater and the Party Tree. A Hobbit Child. The child can be found listening to the Storyteller inside of the Ivy Bush Inn, which is located within Hobbiton-Bywater. Hedeward Lomsdown. Hedeward is the barkeep of the Ivy Bush Inn in the town of Hobbiton-Bywater. Holy Hornblower. Holy's home is directly behind the Ivy Bush Inn. Holy can be found standing outside. Postman Gruff. The postman can be found near the mailbox in the northwest corner of Hobbiton-Bywater Center. So, okay, what now?
Just a moment.
That note makes sense then? Where are you? I'd probably start by talking to Ted Sandyman. Just follow this road out to the east and then turn south. Ted's standing just south of the Bywater Bridge. I know Ted's got time now, so he'll be happy to share his story. Just remember that not every hobbit on that list will have a story to share whenever you please. Just check back on them from time to time. You'll catch them at a good time soon enough, I'm sure. Okay, so what is all that talk about? From what I remember, back when this was initially released, only a handful of hobbits would talk to you during any given day. I believe it was about 4 hobbits that you would need to look for so they could share the story. But if I remember correctly, these have been changed. And now, all hobbits are available at all times. Let us double check if that's the case. So we'll begin with Ted Sandyman.
May I speak with you a moment?
Surely, I'll tell you a tale of Bilbo Baggins and the disappearing act he pulled at his birthday party all those years ago. Just lend me your ear for a moment.
Can't a body be left alone?
Well now, what I heard is that Bilbo had just about had it on his birthday. So many people, all of them bickering and squawking and trying to sneak into Bag End and look for treasure. Anyone would grow wary and want to be done with it. Bilbo was always an unconventional hobbit. So what I heard tell is that he decided to give everyone a good scare and sneak away. Went to go enjoy himself where all his family wasn't, and went round to all the taverns and inns trying their brew. Now, from what I hear tell, no one's quite sure what really happened after that. But my brother's son's friend cousin works down at the Green Dragon and he swears he shipped off a barrel that was heavier than the others the next day, and that it rolled funny like something was in it. Didn't think to question it until after the fact. My guess is that Bilbo enjoyed himself a bit too much, found himself in a cozy barrel, and got shipped off. Goodness only knows where he is now. I wonder what interesting brews he's got into trying far-flung lands. Oh, that's an amazing theory. And now we have Drid, Baggins' birthday. So we need to listen to all these stories and we'll get a very cool title, Chronicler. Now that we are here... you see? Well, the quest has been updated. So most of the NPCs you need to talk to are here in the Hobbiton-Bywater area. Just Lobelia and Lotho here at Bag End and here in Broken Borings. I believe that's Al? Not sure right now, but we'll begin talking with all these guys and see what they have to tell.
Stay and have some tea.
Oh, collecting stories about Bilbo Big Shot Baggins, eh? More than enough of those to go around, to be sure. Luckily for you, I happen to know the truth of the matter of the odd disappearing act he pulled at his party. Yes, I do. Garlic wants to hear.
A lovely day, isn't it?
As I was saying, here's what happened at that birthday party of Bilbo's. You see, when he was on his adventures, he met up with a pile of dwarves. Yes, dwarves. Anybody who knows anything knows that some of them dwarves got mighty peculiar after losing their home in the mountains far off all that long time ago. Since then, stories say, some of them been known to be a roaming band doing nearly anything to squeak by, and that would breed loose morals if you ask me, assuming they ever had any to start with. Can never be sure with people not of the Shire. No, you cannot. Hey, cannot take that personal. I heard that one of these dwarves helped Bilbo dig a complex of tunnels under Baggins, and he simply popped down into these at an opportune moment. Goodness only knows what he's been up to since, but you can bet it's something not respectable, no respectable hobbit will be caught doing. Couple interesting things in here. It's very interesting that Dada knows half of the story, and it's right on that regard, but the other half is of course way off the charts. But it's also very interesting because he is kinda referencing the haunted burrow that becomes available during Harvest Moon Festival, which is an underground complex of tunnels. Bilbo is not living there, he's just having some fun, but he's technically right on that too. Kinda. Really surprised to find that out. Okay, Bogo Chop now.
Could I take a moment of your time?
Bilbo Baggins you're asking about, eh? Most folks think he's off gallivanting goodness knows where. But I've got quite a different story to tell you if you listen.
How do you do?
So, you're wondering what Bilbo been up to since he disappeared, huh? Well, as it happens I heard that he's not in some far off land at all. He's still right here in the Shire. That whole party business was an elaborate ruse to set people talking and rumoring and thinking that he's in some far off land, having more adventures. That was just Bilbo's way of creating a distraction while he crept away to hide in plain sight. Folks say that at night you can sometimes see him, clothed in black, face hidden behind a dark mask with an even darker cape, all flapping and flowing behind him, riding along the roads of the Shire. He has turned vigilante, protecting us all from bandits and goblins and anything else nasty trying to creep into our towns. Bilbo's managed to stay out of sight so well due to his hidden hobbit holes all over the Shire. They were built in secret and paid for by his fortune, and he roams between these, never spending too much time in any one spot, always listening and waiting for danger to appear. Oh my god, that is such a fun story. Now I remember why I like this one so much. So this one is obviously referencing Batman, and the devs of course are having lots of fun coming up with different stories and that might explain Bilbo's disappearance for a hobbit and sneaking this kind of Easter eggs. And it fit from the millionaire, the many different holes or capes around town, the black attire. Oh my god, Pogo, I would hope you were right. I would pay good money to see that.
Please, stay a moment.
Bilbo, eh? Now, folks will tell you any nonsense about what happened to Bilbo at his birthday party, but what's the fun in that? It was all smoke and mirrors anyway, if you ask me. The real story is in what happened after, which, as it happens, I know all about.
What do you need?
Now, I keep my ears to the ground, I do, and I can tell you with complete confidence that Bilbo went on back to the elves. He always told such stories about them, the likes of which you wouldn't believe. They say that an elf queen has been teaching him to grow the biggest tatters a person could ever hope to see. Leave it to Bilbo to go all the way off to the elves to gain knowledge, just so he can steal the first prize ribbon from Farmer Maggot at one of these farmers' fairs. Some folks would just try harder in their own garden plot, but Bilbo just couldn't never do anything the easy way when he could have an adventure instead. I imagine he'll be back any day to wipe that smug smirk off of Farmer Maggot and break his 60-year winning streak. Interesting theory. I personally would still go with a Batman one. I think that's my favorite so far. Okay, the sheriff and the tavern. Okay.
Stay and have some tea.
What's that you're asking about now? Old Mr. Bilbo, you say? Why, certainly I know what happened at his birthday party. Listen up, and I'll tell you the true facts of the matter.
Hello there.
Bilbo-Baggins was something of an eccentric around this part. His adventures created enough stories that you can still hear new ones every day. Why, I was just recently talking to my niece's cousin's sister-in-law's nephew the other day, and he said that he knew what really happened at that funny birthday party. All the folks in these parts attended it, but what with the food and the drink and the dancing and all the youngsters on their foot, only a few folks really witnessed the actual disappearing act. My niece's sister's cousins, you get the picture. The lad I was talking with. He says that he saw that wizard Gandalf pop old Mr. Bilbo into a giant sack. Just visible through the fog, he said, and Mr. Bilbo squirming and wriggling like anything. Then they just vanished into thin air. Goodness knows what happened to the poor chap after that, but honestly, with the stories folks tell about his adventures and associates and goings-on, what other end can a hobbit expect than a sickly one?
Hello there. Might I speak with you a moment?
That story that Robin just told us, that seems something, a rumor that Lobelia would spread. So you better check your sources, I say. Ah, you're collecting stories about Bilbo-Baggins. I know a grand one for ya. That fellow's been some places and seen some things. Yes, he most certainly has.
Hello there.
I heard that Bilbo got up to a whole mess of adventures after his party, but you're wondering what he's up to now, yes? Well, I'll tell you that I heard that in the end, he ran into some of those big folk what ride horses all the time. What are they called? The Riders of Ronald? Roger? No, there. Tip of my tongue. Rohan! That's it. I hear he's got himself a war pony and that they taught him to be a proper horse master and all. Rides in the company of... Tried it. What's the feller's name? Theodem? That's not it either. Hang it all, give me a minute. Theodem. That's the chappie. Our Bilbo's right there, riding in that company of big folk, with banners streaming and horses winning, all across those big plains of grass tall enough to hide a hobbit. Or so I hear. Well, once again, you're kinda right. Not Bilbo, but... another hobbit.
Might I speak with you a moment?
Bilbo-Baggins could single-handedly keep me in business for years to come the way folks around here swap stories about him. I gladly tell you my own personal thoughts on why he disappeared from his birthday party though.
Oh.
Some around here weren't sure about him, but I miss dear Bilbo. He always had such an air of mystery about him, which is saying something, since the only air most hobbits have about them is one of pipewheat on their last meal. Bilbo was refreshing, he was. Took us all up some, and that's a good thing, no doubt. We need some rousing out of our usual routine. Not all of us have the constitution to be explorers, so it's a precious commodity indeed when we get a hobbit with real stories to tell. Anyhow, I hear that Bilbo was getting bored, and can you blame him? So when Gandalf was setting off his lovely fireworks, Bilbo grabbed onto one and off he went, soared off into the skies in a trail of sparks. Now, shake your head if you like, but I think that Bilbo-Baggins could do just nearly anything he put his mind to, and I'm not changing my story. Oh, I love to know where he landed and what mischief he's gotten up to since then. I surely do hope he returns home again, or I might just explode in a starburst myself from curiosity. That's a funny picture, trying to imagine Bilbo flying on a firework. Might not be true, but you're right, it's worth telling that story.
Please, stay a moment.
Excuse me? What you're asking about? Oh yes, I know lots of stories about Bilbo. My mom tells me them some nights when I can get to sleep.
What do you need?
My mom tells me stories about Mr. Bilbo some nights when I can't get to sleep. My favorites are the ones about the Lonely Mountain, with the dragon and the treasure. I'd like a dragon, I think, but only a nice one, not a nasty one. My good dragon would live with me and bring us shiny things to play with, and I'd fly him around in the sky. Dragons are terrible clever, you know, and so mine would tell me stories and teach me things that only dragons know. But you know, I keep thinking about that poor mountain. Why, it's even called the Lonely Mountain, and that was when it still had a dragon friend of its own. But since Bilbo scared off the dragon, I bet that mountain is even lonelier. I feel so bad for it tonight, I just cry into my plush sleep, Petunia. My plush ship, Petunia. But then, I thought about nice Mr. Bilbo and I bet he feels the same way. I bet he went back to the poor mountain to keep it company. If I were him, I'd bring in another dragon, but a nice one this time, to keep it company for years and years and years. I bet that's just what he did. Yeah, well, Bilbo coming back to the Lonely Mountain is not far-fetched at all. So I like that idea. But, of course, the explanation she comes up with to give that backstory, it's really funny. With a nice dragon and all. Trying to think, is that referencing an ice dragon from another work of literature? I think she is. But right now I can't remember who would that be. Okay, here we have Holy Hornblower. She will give us the birthday quest, but it will also, she will also open for us the Spoiled Pies quest, which is linked to a deed. There are 2 of those in the Shire. Both of them can be tedious to do, especially the first time if you don't know what to expect. So basically the first one with the postman, that we'll get to check in just a moment, will have you just deliver the mail around the Shire. So you just gotta run around. You cannot let some noisy hobbits see you, otherwise you got to restart. So it's kind of tricky, but it's not that bad in comparison to this one, because after a while, Holly will realize her pies are spoiled, and she will ask you to 1. Retrieve the spoiled pies, and then deliver a new fresh pie to that location. So you actually gotta make the trip twice, and there are like 10 locations, so that's about 20 trips, and you gotta avoid hungry hobbits on both journeys. I'm gonna do this at some point for another episode in this series. I'm not sure when, but I do want to complete that. You get a couple a deed and a title, I think, and when you just want to chill in the Shire, this is as good as an alternative as any, but I'm not looking forward to it right now. We'll do that someday.
Might I speak with you a moment?
What's that? Oh, you're wondering where Bilbo is now. Turns out you've asked the right hobbit. Okay, do tell me.
Is there something I can do for you?
I'll have you know that I have it on excellent authority that on his travels Bilbo met a whooping massive bear. Yes, a proper large bear, not like the little ones what then around in these parts. And what did Bilbo do? No, don't be silly, the bear didn't even mean 1 gold. Imagine the indigestion with all those brass buttons. No, Bilbo might not be a proper hobbit, but a hobbit still he is, and that means he was carrying any number of delicious things, the like of which the bear had never smelled or tasted before. With those, clever Bilbo tamed that bear, indeed he did. And that's not the end, no, not at all. Just getting to the best part if you believe it. Radagast the Brown, you've heard of him, yes? Keeper of animals, they say, and proper wizard in his own right. Well, Radagast heard about Bilbo and the bear, and he was so impressed that he trained old Bilbo to be a lore master. Neither jesting nor joking am I. That's right, the first Hobbit lore master is our Bilbo, and he rides around now his great bear, accompanying Radagast all over the land. That was a great story. I'm not sure if that talk about the bears is referencing Beorn in some way, because that seems possible, especially that connection with Radagast the Brown, because you gotta remember in the book when Gandalf meets Beorn, he talks to him about Radagast, and that's kind of the leverage he uses to gain his trust. So on one hand I'm thinking, yeah, that's a reference to Beorn and Radagast. On the other hand, that can just be a lore master pet. Lore masters can use bears. And that also ties with a whole story about Bilbo becoming the first lore master, which is also a great story because hobbits can't be lore masters. So This is as close as you can get with a Hobbit lore master. Can you imagine like a Hobbit running around followed by a bear or a raven, a saber-tooth, a folkloriker? That would be amazing. Basically, the animal would be bigger than the Hobbit. I would love to see that, but no, Hobbits can't be lore masters, and there are lore reasons behind it. Also from the books, Hobbits are not too worried about that kind of stuff. Maybe about family trees and that's it. So a Hobbit being a lore master, I think, is very far-fetched. I don't think we'll see Hobbit lore masters ever. Maybe that will come back to bite me at some point, but for the time being, I don't think we will. Here we have the postman. So once again, he will have that quick post quest line and the deed for it as well. We're not doing that today. Just
Might I speak with you a moment?
the birthday story. Looking for stories about Bilbo, are you now? Well, as postman, I know most people, I hear most things. I can certainly spare the time to tell you a tale. Okay, let's hear it.
Is there something I can do for you?
So, you're wanting to know where Bilbo has got himself off to. Well, if you ask around these parts, folks will tell you all kinds of nonsense. He got kidnapped, or is flying his own dragon, or is leading a fighting tribe of spiders. The gullibility of hobbits is sometimes not to be believed. They'll latch into any story they hear, and the more exotic the better. Can't you imagine Bilbo doing any of those things at his age? Gracious, he's a unique sort of hobbit, but he's got limits. I can see you're the sensible sort, so I'll tell you the real truth. Bilbo's always had a terrible fondness for elves. Downright unsettling if you ask me, but he was never one to hold with convention. Anyway, he decided to spend the rest of his days with them, invited by the elvish leaders and all. He spent his declining years living with them and enjoying their hospitality, always writing his memories in the form of a one-act play, where there's smoke, there's fire. I hear that the backland benefit of the benevolent Bucket Brigade Brotherhood for the Bruised and Burned has exclusive rights for the opening. Okay, you got me, Postman Gruff. You almost had it. I gotta tell you, if Bilbo memories were called this, that would be way funnier. And that's saying something. The Hobbit is already really funny, but I would love to see this one, where there's smoke, there's fire, and this association, the Buckland benefit of the benevolent Bucket Brigade Brotherhood for the Bruised and Burned. That's 8 Bs. Are they referencing something or just having fun with it? I'm inclined to believe it's the latter, but who knows. Great story. I don't think many Hobbits would believe it. Sometimes the truth is harder to believe than a lie, and we gotta admit it, all these stories are way funnier. But I do wonder what would Bilbo think when he learns what the postman thinks. I think he would be delighted and disappointed in equal parts that there is still some Hobbit sense to really know what he's doing, but at the same time, like, why didn't you let your imagination run off? You should have. At least that's what I think Bilbo would say to the postman. But I'm kind of surprised that at least one of them got him right, and not half right, like what Dada told us about Bilbo going back with the elves. I don't know about the underground conflict. That was half right, only, but the postman got it basically all right.
Don't walk off. I need to speak with you.
Oh, all anyone talks about around here is Bilbo Baggins. But as it happens, yes, I do know quite a juicy bit of information that I don't mind sharing with a person such as yourself.
Well, the gall of some folk.
Listen up now and you might learn something worth knowing. Earlier that day, the day of the party that is, I'll have you know that I saw Bilbo's lab sampling a good many of Holy Hornblower's pies. They always look delectable, but I swear she uses secret ingredients that would put off even the staunchest eater. Not that I'm jealous, mind. My pies always come in second, and I have an easy mind knowing they are made of only the finest fruits, nor any new nonsense I hear tell of. Not like some people I know of, and if that's good enough for me, well... Pardon me. What was I saying? Right, Mr. Bilbo. As I was saying, I've heard that Holy was experimenting with sneaking in ground-up mushrooms, pinched from Farmer Maggot's field. If you listen to the young fry around these parts snuck into his field and eaten some, you know they have some awful queer effect. So if you want to know what I think, and you clearly do as you're asking me, well, I think eating those pies up and disappear, Bilbo. Good thing that odd Gandalf was around to cover it up with a puff of smoke and save us all the scandal. Although some might think that there could have been an important lesson to be learned had he not. Really interesting now that you mention it, Lobelia. She's obviously referencing the farmer's fair, where you can go and grab a bite, take a bite of some of the farmer's mushrooms, and they do have different effects. So that's what he is referencing with that story.
What do you want?
Oh, you're wondering what Matt Baggins has been up to? He was all cleverness and nonsense, if you ask me. I know a right amusing story of what mischief he's gotten himself into, I surely do.
What do you want?
Well now, last I heard is that old Baggins had completely squandered his fortune, although I never myself believed it was half as big as folks said. So it wouldn't be that hard to lose now, would it? But as I was saying, with his fortune gone, I hear he went to one of those big folk towns and got himself the finest fake beard that the remainder of his money could buy. And now, don't start laughing yet. You ain't heard the rest of it, and you remember what I said about him being too clever without much sense. Well, fake beard obtained, he went to live with the dwarves. Yes, dwarves! Snuck right into there with them in their caves and their digging. Dwarves aren't too smart from what I've heard, and those caves gotta be mighty shadowy and smoky from the torches, don't you think? Figure with his beard he can hide and work right alongside them, all the while slowly building up a new fortune of pocketed gems and fine metals. I bet he'll be back again lording his adventure and supposed fortunes over us all once more. Okay, we completed the deed. We completed the deed. Let us see what we got here. Baggins' birthday. That's supposed to be... Yeah, here, 12 out of 12. And the title, of course, Chronicler. You have completed your collection of tales about Bilbo Baggins and his recent adventures. And they were great stories. I liked some of them most than others, of course. I still think that the Batman one is my favorite one. But some of the other ones were very funny too, like Bilbo Lore Master, Bilbo and the Pies, Bilbo and the Fireworks, the Haunted Burrow, which is kind of right, the Postman story, which is basically the right one. So different versions, but if you mix them all up, you kind of get the truth of it. Really great questline, if you ask me.
Just a moment.
You managed to speak to all the Hobbits on my list then? Wonderful! If that's giving you what you need, off with you then. Time to take the stories to their final recipient.
Don't walk off. I need to speak with you.
I imagine those stories have someone waiting for them. Off you go now. Yeah, Bilbo would love to hear them, so back to Rivendell we go. Let us see what Bilbo has to say about this. And let us see if Frodo was right. How much is Bilbo going to enjoy this? Alright, here we are. The last family house. So now... right we go to the Hall of Fire. Let us see what Bilbo thinks about this.
How do you do?
Why hello, Beriathan. Many salutations, I'm sure. And what has brought you here to me on this fine day?
Hello there.
Stories? From the Shire? And all of them about me? I can't wait to hear them, please tell. Please tell me your tales. Poor Hole in her pies, she wouldn't appreciate having such aspersions spread around as to their quality. I bet I can guess. Who's spreading the rumor around? And that's to be followed by a one-act play, where there's smoke, there's fire. I may just have to put my pen to paper in honor of such a fine rumor. Yeah, I'm glad you like that one too.
How do you do?
Oh dear, oh my. They are even better than I thought. The imagination of hobbits truly knows no bounds. The Lonely Mountain? Holy Hornblower's Pies? A Kept Crusader even! Oh gracious and goodness me. You have made this old hobbit very happy and brought me belly laughs such as I have not known for a while. Elves, for all their charms, have a more esoteric form of humor. I've missed the stories, hobbits tell. Take this with my thanks. Clearly you have a knack for recording and telling tales. I hope you keep that up during your adventures, as I sense you will have a great many stories to tell. Okay, so once again, we got the Scribe's book stand. Really nice housing item. I think I have a couple already, but it's always nice to get some more of them. And let me double check something here. I mean, with the deed tracker plugin that I'm using, it gave me the impression the quest is a repeatable one. And if it is, I would love it, because I also gotta admit, one of the reasons why I don't do this quest with my other characters is because I thought this is a one and done kind of deal. So I was saving that quest on my other characters for when I wanted to refresh what happened with it and have some fun. But if you can repeat this every year, regardless of how many times you've done it, well, I would very much love coming back to it every time. So you got to, well, we got to see here Bilbo's reaction to the stories, to a couple of them about Holy Hornblower and where there's smoke, there's fire. But there's also, well, he will react to all other stories as well, and I think that's a random thing every time you do it. But let me tell you what he says. For example, a series of secret dwarf tunnels below Baggins, delightful and not far off from the truth of the mysterious burrow I left her. Have folks found out yet? Yeah, I told you, that was one. I got shipped off down the river in a barrel, did I? No mystery where the origins of that story came from. Can't say I would relish having to do that again. Lady Galadriel is teaching me the techniques to growing the biggest tatter the Shire has ever seen. I suspect she's got more pressing issues occupying her time, but it might not hurt to ask, and that is also technically true. Not with Bilbo, but that will come to pass with Sam. Oh, lovely! Soaring off through the sky with sparks streaming behind. Delightfully imaginative indeed. That's another one, the firework. That's a very funny image. We have now Holy and her pyres. So, Gandalf popped me in a sack and carried me off, did he? I'll be sure to share that one with him later. He'll enjoy it no end. Part of the Riders of Roger in the company of Theon. Bless my boots. Yes, that sounds like a fine retirement indeed. Yeah, I would love to share that one with you. And if that weren't enough, now I'm fighting evil in a mask and cape, roaming the Shire at night. Oh my, what will they come up with next? And oh dear me, I'm not sure I can find that sweet child a real dragon, but perhaps I can send her back a plush one in secret. Charming! Simply charming. And then myself, the first Hobbit lore master traveling with Radagast himself. A terribly flattering story indeed. I must encourage the retelling of that one. And then to have that follow with me in a fake beard, living with the dwarves and stealing their scraps? Oh my gracious and goodness. Yeah, that was amazing. All these stories are very funny. Once again, some more funny than the others, but all of them worth listening to. So I do hope these are indeed repeatable so that we can get back to it whenever we feel like it. Because I would love to come back to it at some point. But anyway, that is it for the Baggins birthday. A very nice gesture from Frodo's part. And I'm glad that Bilbo enjoyed it. But that would be all for today's episode. So once again, thank you for watching this episode of Tales of Middle-earth. Join me next time when we will explore many more locations and stories that are still left untold. For the time being, this has been Beriathan of the Citadel Guard of Gondor, and I wish you a good one. Until then, my friends, stay safe, take care, good luck to you all, and I will see you later.